Hi, Umang.
Hey, Ronald.
Welcome to Frontline Talks. It's a pleasure having you, and I really want to thank you for your time first. I understand it's a busy schedule, and taking the time out to talk to us and sharing your knowledge is definitely something which I'm sure will be very helpful to the ecosystem at large. Before we go ahead, I quickly want to introduce and tell Frontline Talks or introduce Frontline Talks to our viewers. Right. So Frontline Talks is a community which we're building where we would like to invite a lot of experts from the retail HR and the learning and development field to come and talk about performance management for the retail store teams. Right? If we go on internet and search about performance management, there's ton and tons of literature, best practices, challenges on the corporate teams and corporate employees perspective. But there is very little, while there is some knowledge, but very little knowledge, right? Specifically from the best practices perspective. Idea of this vlog is exactly to do that. We want to bridge that gap and talk to people like you to help us understand this sector better, and of course at large help community or the ecosystem to sort of understand from your learnings and then also implement. Right, that's the idea. And also, my name is Ronald, and I host the Frontline Talks. And Umang, I would love to hear from you from your journey. Maybe you can introduce yourself, help us understand your career. Something which I just saw is you won a under 40 HR 100 award, which is fantastic. So please talk and help us understand your profile a little better.
Thank you, Ronald, for this opportunity. I'm honored to be here. HR is something that I'm very passionate about. It's been close to 14 years that I've been associated with human resources. And I can tell you, I've seen the HR domain, HR as professionals grow and become more strategic as we crossed years and years. There was a time when HR always took the back seat, but today it is the strategic partner. It has a voice on the board. So HR is doing a great job. About me, I've been born and brought up in the city of Chandigarh. Moved to Noida, did my MBA from Amity Business School. Other than that, I'm a proud father of a 4-year-old. I am an avid cyclist, and I also write to blog my thoughts.
Wow, interesting. I didn't know you were a cyclist. Umang, the conversation today, I would like to break it into three parts, right?
Mhm.
Well, of course, we would like to speak about performance management, but we also want to speak about other things around performance management and things which are happening or not happening in the frontline teams currently, right? So three buckets would be: number one, performance management. Number two, we'll speak about the HR's role in performance management. And number three, we want to speak about diversity in frontline teams, right? Especially from the country we come in where it's very traditional and people have, people don't really step out for jobs, especially the women and so on. We would love to speak how, your experience has been in this sector. So let's start with the first one. Can you help me understand basic what is performance management at a ground level, and how is it different than the corporate teams when we talk about performance management for the retail store employees?
Sure. It's a great question, Ronald. Performance management, according to me, can be broken into three main steps, which starts from A, goal setting, B, IDP, and it's actually followed by third, which is actually measuring the performance on the goals that we have set. And all this is done with an aim of increasing effectiveness of the organization. It's very important for us, the HR team, as well as the entire organization, to recognize the fact that these frontline employees are the backbone of every organization. It is they who execute and help us get those numbers.
Okay.
So when we talk about the increments or the performance management system or for the frontline or the field teams, these guys generally get measured on sale targets, customer experience, etc., which makes it very easy as well as very highly measurable.
Sure.
Somewhere I feel that a lot of organizations end up doing an annual review rather than helping them draft a career progression for themselves. So we all like to know what ways our careers are going, what are the opportunities that we can embark on. And I think that is equally true for these guys. And somewhere this gets neglected or takes a backseat.
Sure.
According to me, we need to constantly engage with them and share their progress by telling them the strengths, opportunities, as well as helping them make an action plan. And this action plan can actually be linked with the organization's learning initiatives. I know this may appear to be a very cumbersome activity, but it is a very effective way of motivating and retaining employees.
Sure.
Another thing I would say is most organizations are really good in maintaining records of what did not go well with the employee in the year, which would include coaching logs, warning letters. But how many of us actually capture them doing the right things? What's stopping us from having an achievement or a recognition log in their personal files? So, are we saying that we are going to remember all these details when we speak to these employees towards the end of the year? I really doubt. For me, the ideal way to do is do it the corporate way. All of us get one-on-ones with the supervisors, skip levels, etc. And I think that is something that we need to practice here as well. Maybe a quarterly one-on-one with these guys, focusing on their achievement, measuring their progression on the action plan, coaching them if required, and by the time the final assessment comes, both the employee and the manager knows what has worked for him, what has not worked for him or her, and that is how it becomes a very smooth and seamless thing. And this is something that all corporate employees also experience, and it would be great for the field teams or the frontline teams to experience the same. They will feel more valued and will be more loyal towards that organization.
Sure. Absolutely. I think you brought in some very interesting points. Four things which I remember is a goal setting, IDP, action plan, and how to make all of this continuous, right? And not just at the end of the year, or maybe if one-on-ones are happening, not just at I mean, even if it happens at quarterly level,
Mhm.
the learnings and the learning plans, the goal setting has to happen on a more continuous basis, right?
Absolutely.
So while we speak about making this happening on a continuous basis, I'm assuming you speak of this because you've already done some work around this and implemented in various organizations you've been a part of, along with the current organization. What has been your experience of designing these continuous programs? And what has been your major challenges as well while implementing these continuous programs?
Sure. See, in today's world, everything needs to be digitized.
Yeah,
And having an online performance appraisal system allows you to access the data from anywhere. All you need is an internet connection.
yeah,
So I think this is the biggest factor today, and it helps make performance decisions based upon real-time data.
yeah,
So sometimes it's so hard to remember what have been the achievements of your team, where did they go the extra mile or supported somebody else despite them being in a tight spot. And when you come to appraising that employee, you do not recall all of that at that same point. You may have made some notes, but how many notes would you actually go through to find that page? So an online system always enables a manager the ability to collect that data throughout the year, put it on the system, and it acts as a record for him.
yeah.
So when you're writing performance reviews, you have a more accurate picture of employees' performance instead of what's available only in your recent memory. So with access to this information throughout, a manager or an HR leader is in touch with what the employee's progress has been during every phase of goal completion. And this also helps in offering reinforcement or coaching to keep performance and deadlines on track.
Right.
These metrics can be reviewed to calculate bonuses, promotions, etc. And you also get to see if there's something that's coming up for a promotion or role changes available. And you know the data is handy with you, and you can actually help your team get shortlisted for that.
Absolutely.
Other than that, I think it leads to more accountability and monitoring of goals, as the both the employee and the employer can see them real time. It does also gives you the real picture as an employee to go back and look at them and see, oh, where am I missing? What is it that I need to step up? And this become makes it more convenient access to everyone. And basically, the beauty of this is that it can be accessed real time.
Correct.
So what happens is if you're doing a pen and pencil thing, you have to worry about a lot of things. Hope nobody sees other person's appraisal form. What if this feedback form is left on my table and I forgot to put it in my drawer?
Yeah.
There are so many things that go on, that keeps going on. And I think with the word digital coming in it, it becomes more important that there is a record system that is available every time for all the employees. Employees can view it anytime they want. Uh, they can do a self review every now and then to keep themselves on top. And today, more with the geo coming in, a lot of our youth is so net savvy,
Yeah,
uh,
absolutely.
probably more than you and me. And the fact that if we say that, oh, they may not be able to use digital, that will be wrong. They are more hands on than we are. So
Absolutely.
I think
Absolutely.
taking the performance review digital is very important. Another thing I would like to say here is it's very important to be transparent from day one. You don't
Absolutely.
want to give that surprise or shock on the last day of the year. Oh, you did not do this the right way. We need to be transparent. All of us like to get a transparent feedback, and that is how it should be. Also, the action plan progress measurement is very important. If you just give the action plan or tell the person this is your opportunity and leave it there, you are not doing anything. You're just demotivating the employee. You need to show him or her the way to come out of that challenge, the way you can improve and take up bigger roles.
Yeah.
See, all of us are very, very unique. So if somebody is doing my assessment versus your assessment, our unique strengths and opportunities will come up. And that is where these need to be acknowledged. And we need to give tailor-made solutions rather than one thing fits all. So I think these are the challenges that we see. And this is generally because we see the field workforce as one group, not as set of individuals who contribute.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think this is a very important part where going digital helps. And so, absolutely, one of the myth I most often hear is, "Oh, we are Indians, and data is not good in that store, or data is just not there." But a lot of times when I do store visits as a part of my work, I see frontline teams. A guy who's working in a kitchen or in a apparel store has Instagram. He's uploading. His has a Facebook account. He has an email ID. I think absolutely there's a lot of data to definitely say, and a lot of people are already doing it. And like you said, data being so cheap nowadays, and people are going crazy about it. So I think digital definitely is something which is going to go up, and that actually brings me to the next point, which is connected.
Mhm.
Digital transformation has been a buzzword, right? And how would you think that uh, an HR can cope up with the new whole buzz of digital happening, and what is the impact you think will have in the sector? All right. So I've just asked you two questions to
Mhm.
repeat myself. One is, what is the impact of digital transformation overall? Of course, you spoke a lot about it, but more from an HR perspective, what do you think? It will help them to do better as HR, to say now digital has come. I need to cope up. I need to know the systems better. I need to analyze the data, in a much better way. Right. I have now everything available. I just in few clicks. I'm able to download reports which can help me what's happening with my store in terms of sales, in terms of performance, and so on. What has been your experience with your organization in the past, current, and your colleagues in the same ecosystem? How do you think this has been impacting?
Sure. See, I'm actually amazed sometimes by how technology is impacting the world we live in.
Yeah,
HR touches every aspect and every employee of an organization. Its agile transformation, in some cases, may seem more extensive and more difficult than the changes that happen in other functions. A lot of companies are in the process of redesigning their talent practices, and the few areas that actually come up a lot are online performance management system, engagement, L&D. So we spoke in detail about how digital
yeah,
helps in performance appraisals. So if you look at the engagement, there are lot many companies who have actually explored this space using AI and ML technology, which helps you come to a point that tells you that this employee is at risk. Do a one-on-one and retain him. They are doing a great job in predicting attrition. They help you drive those early connects, the moments of truth, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days through their apps. Uh, as well as now you are using AI and ML for hiring, be it assessment centers, be it assessment centers for hiring, be it assessment centers for promotion. uh, chatbot based interviews, video interviews with judge, your body language, how are you answering, is there a prompt, is there a shadow in the room? There's so many things coming up. uh, if you look at the learning and development space, LMS was a buzzword. Today it's moved to simulation based learnings than just web based trainings.
Sure.
Google Glass is doing a fantastic job in doing this. Uh, there is an intranet in every organization that they're using for internal communications. Uh, a lot of organizations have their own apps as well to drive engagement, to recognize employees, to keep that ecosystem their own. And I think if you look at that from an HR point of view, I'm an excited HR professional right now. Uh, what this is doing to me is it's just helping me reduce a lot of my transactions,
Hmm.
and with that happening I can actually do a high impact job. I can look at doing some transformational work. I can spend more time with the ground teams, with my stakeholders, understanding what their expectation from the people is, bridging that gap of talent and capability. So I think today I have time that I can utilize to do many more things rather than just looking at, oh, is the payroll correct? Has everybody has the attendance been recorded correctly from the manual register? Has the overtime been captured? I think these are things of the past today. Today everything is digital. You have swap cards, you have fingerprints. Uh, eye prints are also here now to record your time in, time out. So I think technology has eased a lot of things and has actually made us in a position that today we can do a lot of transformational work. Uh, Diversity is something today we can focus at. Uh, these tools have also helped you do a lot of good analytics. Ronald, like you said, today with a click you can get a report. So it can actually tell me what kind of a performer an employee was, what was that age group, what was the tenure, and I can see some data that correlates to that, and I can say, oh, if the person falls in that range, should I hire that person? Maybe women in the age group of say 27 to 30 have lowest attrition.
Hmm.
Men between 18 to 22 have highest attrition. And actually, if you look at these two statements, these are the statements I'm making from data analytics that I've done. And it actually ties back to the life cycle of these guys. So 18 to 22, especially if you look at men, they want to earn money, they want to go out, explore, experiment. Even a 500 rupees for a frontline employee to do a new job is enough. Whereas if you look at an age, similar age group of a women, she may not be very open to experimenting, but she may leave the job due to marital pressures. Uh, so that is how this all data comes together. So at a 27 to 30 years for both the genders, if you will look at, a correlation will come up that both of them are settled and are now looking at culture and career rather than doing experimentation.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So data and technology have changed the way we think.
Yeah.
And this is just going to get better from each moment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think a combination of data with technology, which is anyways going around, with data analytics coming in, I think performance versus drawing some strategic understanding analysis from the data, which can help you become a better as an organization, provide better services, better facilities to the teams itself, will change, and I'm assuming it's already changing. What I'm understanding also is that while I hear from a lot of HRs that, oh, digital, I'm not really good at it, I'm not really good at this, I think it's just a mindset, isn't it? If you are up to it, you can do it.
Look at how pandemic changed it for us.
Absolutely.
We are doing this over Zoom, right? We could have done it over a cup of coffee as well.
Absolutely.
And in the last 1 year, how have we connected with the remote teams? It's been through WhatsApp video calls, through Microsoft Teams. That is how we've connected. And these guys were more savvy than we were. And we thought it would be a challenge for them. No, they were doing this for a long time. So I'll go back to a period before the pandemic, and this was a specially able store that I was looking after. When I say specially able store, it was we employ people who have problem in hearing and speaking. So how they used to interact with each other was sign language, and I tried to talk to them and I said, how do you interact with each other when you're not in the office space? So they said they signaled to me that they do video calling and talk in sign language. So they had actually been a step further ahead of us when we used to not even think of doing a video call.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. While we speak a lot about HRs, technology, frontline teams, very important also for us to talk about is the business itself, right?
Mhm.
How do you think businesses benefit by having a strong performance management practices for the frontline team? While we of course spoke about that, the frontline team is the one who's actually holding the ground and making sure the sales number happen. But at a larger level, what do you think has been, some benefits to the businesses at large?
So, Ronald, there's a statement that I've heard a lot in my career. What gets measured invariably gets done.
Yeah,
And having an effective performance management program just does that. Uh, in simple words, it increases the productivity of the company, helps the organization identify its top performers, and further motivates them to work harder. Uh, a lot of other things that come up with a strong performance management system includes consistency. So the selection of employees for promotion, transfer, any other action, the data pops up. This is the criteria, these are the guardrails that you should keep in mind. This employee has not cleared this guardrail yet. So it ensures a lot of consistency and processes.
yeah,
Employees feel more motivated because they know that the system is strong enough to identify outliers. It helps that management understand who is doing an outstanding job and who is not,
yeah,
and they will get rewarded. So it just gets that amount of transparency in the system that helps the people know that they will be rewarded with the correct recognition when the time is there. So they continue to encourage to improve their performance. And
absolutely.
this happens, the consistency and transparency is there. It obviously leads to a higher morale and retention. And employees who are highly motivated are going to give the organization a great benefit because the customer experience that they will give is going to be above par.
Absolutely.
So an engaged employee give a customer a great experience. And I think that is what a great performance system does. In addition to this, organization also gets impacted because the human behavior improves. If you have researched something on the human behavior, you will say there is a stress that grows near the appraisal cycle in an employee. But the moment that transparency creeps in, you are very light and you're very cool to go for that meeting. And a good performance system will also help you identify training needs. And
Absolutely.
those training needs could be based on both your functional as well as leadership.
Yeah,
So I think
absolutely.
all these things, when you come together, like they say in Hindi, in सबको mixture को लो, घोट लो और घुट्टी बना के पी जाओ. That is what if you do all this together, you know the benefits that organization gets.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think you said a great engagement for employees is directly, seen in great customer experience. Is something definitely I think I hear a lot, and I'm really happy to hear that.
Ronald, I'll just like to say one more thing. In the HR space, the word engagement is used very loosely. So if you talk to 10 HR professionals or 10 growing HR professionals, and you say, what do you mean by employee engagement? 90% or 80% employees will come up with saying, oh, we did a cricket match, we did a chai pakora party, we had a team outing. I don't think those are engagement activities.
Yeah.
Those are motivational activities, those are fun activities. Engagement would be when you talk to that employee, show him a career path, show him his strengths, help him come out of those opportunities. That is real engagement for me.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think we still think employee engagement is all about picnics and parties and so on. Well, of course, it's the motivational aspect, like you said. But more important is to say how can I help employee to be engaged at a level that I'm able to retain the employee for a longer time and make him or her perform really well. Right? That's an output of a good engagement, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Um, Again, when you mentioned growing HR professionals, right? You've been a part of some top, retail organizations, and while you spent a lot of time in QSR, you also had some experience in other verticals of the retail. What would be your suggestion to the upcoming HR professionals, right? Who maybe just joined the industry 2 years ago, 3 years ago, who are trying to build a career in this sector? from digital performance, engagement. If you again mix all of this, what are your some of the gyan for the growing professionals?
I think, firstly, Ronald, we must acknowledge that the next generation of HR leaders that is coming, they're very talented. Uh,
Absolutely.
they do not fear challenging the status quo. And I think this is one thing that they need to continue.
Mm.
For example, if I've been working in HR, there are certain thoughts that have now got embedded. And I may not challenge them, but if somebody challenges them, it also helps me grow.
Yeah.
So the fact that these guys are not afraid of challenging the status quo makes me very, very happy. And this is a quality that they need to continue with. Even in business, there are a lot of things that are working great, and you don't see a need to change. But then there's always the scope of going one step better, and that is what the habit of challenging status quo does to you. And HR as a function which is getting more and more strategic and transformational, challenging the status quo continues to be a very, very important part for me. uh, your basics needs to be very correct. When I talk about basics, I would say even if you don't want to enter the labor law field, you should be aware of all the laws, the benefits that these laws get to the organization and the employees. These are the two must-haves in the labor law that you should know. Because see, when we talk about the frontline employees, or any other employees, they get covered in one or the other law that is today in the country. And having the knowledge will always help you be one step ahead of the employee. That innovation, I think, is a very, very important thing for as an HR leader today. How can you innovate a new idea? How can you get a new practice in place that is going to change everything around you? Innovation not only means technology, it could use technology, but it could also do something which changes the existing process. For example, the traditional way of doing a employee check-in was with a paper and pen. Then it moved to an online survey. Today you have a chatbot. What is next? Maybe a video bot. These the way the things are actually growing. You also need to be in good touch with what is happening in technology space as well. So challenging status quo, knowing your labor laws well, uh, understanding what innovation can be brought in, technology, and lastly, engaging with employees through one-on-ones and not doing more of fun activities. Fun activities are important, but they have a short impact.
Yeah.
So these 4 to 5 things, I would say that these guys, the upcoming HRs, should keep in mind. And lastly, they should find themselves a mentor in or outside the organization who can actually help them grow in the corporate world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, uh, I'm assuming when you say all this, you've gone through the whole circle, of doing all of this. And interestingly, because our conversation just went on, we covered the first two parts. We covered the performance management, and we covered the role of an HR in the performance management, which is good. The last part of our conversation is the diversity in frontline teams, right? I also understand you've been very passionate about diversity in general, and of course in the frontline teams. Uh, can you talk about diversity from a country perspective in India or a global perspective, along with global perspective, to say what has been your experience of diversity in the frontline teams?
Sure. I don't know how you figured that out, Ronald, but yes, I'm very passionate about diversity. See, for me, if you look at 30 years back when maybe I was a young kid, I saw my mom, she was a homemaker,
Yeah.
and she did a great job of bringing the kids, taking care of my dad, ensuring everything is right. And I think that was the role that was actually told to her when she was born, that all you have to do is be a homemaker. And she did a great job. Uh, but today, if you ask me, why do you want, when I say you, I mean everyone. Why does anyone want to put those labels or stereotypes on women or men that these careers are for men or women are made to do only teaching, sit at home. Why?
Yeah.
It's a proven fact, and there are multiple studies if you search on the net which talk about the hand that rocks the cradle today is also ruling the corporate world. So, if you go and search the Forbes 500 study on diversity impacts, it clearly shows having a good, healthy diversity at the top level actually has led to more revenues, more engagement, and a higher level of culture that the organization experiences.
Absolutely.
This is the Forbes 500 that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Uh, Other than that, leaders must think how diversity is going to make the performance and culture of an organization better. We should get out of the mind spaces that, oh, she's a woman. If I promote her from a field to field role or a ground level role to a manager role, she may not like to stay slightly late. That's a bias that we have in our mind. Have we even gone and asked her?
Yeah.
Maybe she's been working and dreaming about that role. And if you're not going to give it, my dear friend, somebody else is going to give it to her. And while we talk about diverse and minority groups, the first thought that comes to our mind is to increase the representation. While we promote diversity, we need to be mindful enough to ensure that we sustain the culture of equal opportunities for all. At the same time, it's also very important that we support this group of people at those pivotal moments of their careers. So I was reading this very interesting document when the maternity leave was increased to what it is now, 6 months. Uh, Organizations were not very happy. But what's wrong in that? She also has a right to take that leave. Women today are challenging the status quo, and in a lot of things which were earlier stereotyped male, they're excelling in it. And I think it's very important for all of us, Ronald, that we acknowledge them.
Yeah.
We should actually say that you're doing a great job and I'm there to support you. And that is what the attitude should be. And that is what I see all around me. My wife is having a great career. I support her. I want her to do much more in life. A lot of my friends have spouses who are working and they're equally vocal about them doing the great job that they are. So I think now it's a generational shift that has happened, and we want both the spouses to work. Also, the pandemic, I hope it's going to actually propel more women into the workforce. A lot of people lost their jobs, and that is when the importance of both dual employment in the house would have definitely come up. And I think there is no harm from learning our lessons from the pandemic and letting more women move out of the houses to work. And it's very important that we should at the same time not force them to do work. If they want to, we should encourage them.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing, Umang. I think these are some really interesting thoughts, which a lot of, like we said, these are very top to down kind of thoughts. Culture change in the organizations. It's not bottom up, right? It's in the boardroom what gets discussed and what gets trickled down. While a lot of businesses are making a lot of interesting changes, right, to their policies. I hear LinkedIn is now adding. I'm not sure the exact term, but they're going to add something like a work from home mother kind of a title in their in the LinkedIn profiles. While a lot of businesses are making these changes, what changes do you think retail businesses can do to help make diversity much better? What are the maybe top 2 to 3 changes you think retail business can do?
So, Ronald, when we talk about diversity, the first thought that comes in the mind is gender diversity.
Yeah,
And I think diversity is a very, very wide term. It includes diversity of thought, diversity of education backgrounds. It's so wide. So I think I am really vocal about women diversity, women at workplace, as well as the specially abled employees. So we see KFC, we see Costa Coffee, Cafe Coffee Days, Lemon Tree Hotels of the world hiring these employees, giving them a livelihood, which is so good to see. And whenever I enter a specially abled restaurant or a outlet, it gives me goosebumps. And this is what makes me happy as a customer or as a HR professional, being able to provide opportunities to different sets of people.
Sure. Sure, absolutely, absolutely. I think a lot of organizations we've seen who've been hiring a lot of specially abled, people in their stores. And like I said, I was recently in an apparel store, and one of the cashier was someone who could not hear, and his nameplate or a name tag said, "I understand only sign language." Right? I think these are things which organizations are doing by giving equal opportunities, just like you said, and that's something which will definitely take the organization at a very long term, right? And also, it sort of helps the customers also to see the kind of efforts the business is putting in to do good in the business, right? While the money making and all of that is still happening, but the good which the company is doing is shown very clearly to our customers whom we serve, right? Um, so to sum it up, Umang, you spoke a lot about performance management from your experience. You spoke about how goal setting is important, how having an IDP, how making it continuous discussion, not doing at the end of the year, so that it becomes challenging for both the people who are assessing versus the frontline teams as well, right? Going digital is something which you said is an enabler to sort of help us make better decisions, right? The data and analytics. You also spoke about how HRs in today's world can take up digital, and how it's just a mindset to sort of get out of and use technology to make analysis which can help HRs to become better HR professionals, and then thinking about payroll and attendance and so on. Right? You also spoke a lot about how an engaged employee gives a great customer experience, right? And you spoke so clearly about how engagement is not about a short-term activity on a Friday evening, 4 to 5. Let's meet for a tea pakoda party. But it's a lot about how you are able to show a career, how you are able to invest them in their own career, and how you are able to being very transparent in their career and help them grow to the next floor, right? Which also helps you to retain your right employees. Else they become a threat for you at the end, right? When a good employee leaves and goes for you from your organization. And over that, we also discussed diversity. We said, diversity is not just in gender; it's a lot about thoughts and sort of religion, and how as a retail companies, can introduce diversity in the organization. And of course, I think especially able women are two things which we spoke very actively about, and we hope that with conversations like these, we are able to give more opportunities to people. So at this time, Umang, I really want to thank you for your time. It's been a great chat. It's always very thought-provoking to speak to you, where you keep telling these one-liners, which makes us think that, did not think this way. Two things which you told today is, what gets measured, what gets measured gets done, and a great employee engagement is great customer service, right? So a lot of learnings which I'm taking today, and I'm sure our viewers today will also take a lot of learning from what we've done. So I'm really thankful to you, Umar, and I hope to sort of do this more often with you to share more knowledge.
Thank you, Ronald. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Looking forward to more interactions. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.